So, the Ullyxr Collective are clearly favored by the gods, or at least by the Ministry of Extra-Dimensional Security. Hello, Legion, this is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more Stellaris Toxoids in our Heralds of the Dark Nova series. This, I believe, I think, maybe, is one of the pop-ups that I kind of rushed through while we were trying to fight those space amoeba at the end of the last episodes. So I will quickly read through this, and then we're going to do a few other things that I want to make sure that I cover while we're near the beginning of the series that I didn't in the first few episodes. A small docking hatch leading to the interior of this asteroid is visible at the rim of a small crater on its surface. The hatch was likely concealed once, but it has since been exposed by micrometeorite impacts. So, a couple of things that we can do. We don't have a ton of energy, but I wanted to point out that we do have several features to clear, including buried lithoids on the first. Actually, this requires minerals to clear these out. And then energy for the normal clearing operations, one of which will not generate a pop the way that it might on other planets. Oh, this one will. So these collapsed burrows will create a Ullyxr pop. So this shows how often I've played as lithoids in the past. But that's one thing we're going to be able to do. Another very important thing that I wanted to touch on, and I haven't recorded too far ahead of the comments yet, so one of these got to me in time. This system, the Edicts Fund system, has changed once or twice since I stopped playing Stellaris last. And so my understanding of exactly how the cap worked either was outdated or was just completely incorrect, or both. So just to be clear, I can actually activate one of these, but if it goes above this limit, so it would be fortify the border that I can activate. If it goes above the limit, then I will not be able to avoid draining my unity. So I can, for example, say fortify the border, and that doesn't affect my monthly unity at all. So if I were to let the clock tick to the beginning of March right now, you won't see this number go down. Yeah. So the moment that I'm above the capacity there, and remember we had one Ascension perk in the previous episode, or maybe the one before that, but I think it was the last one, where as a consequence of selecting that Ascension perk, we could have increased our edict cap. So I'm not saying that I would have decided differently now that I have been reminded of the way this particular mechanic works, but just to point that out since I didn't know that in the previous episode. That's a very important detail. Pirate treasure. The asteroid appears to have been used intermittently as a base by a band of alien pirates roughly 1,000 years ago. A small boarding party entered the base and managed to recover their abandoned treasure hoard. It consisted largely of stolen trinkets and artifacts, but some of it appears to be of value. So these ill-gotten gains shall serve the state. We got some energy for that, which we will use to do the very thing that I was just talking about. So by clearing that, we'll get an additional Ullyxr pop. I don't need to clear these just yet. And then this particular anomaly, not sure why nothing's popping up. Maybe because oh yeah, because it's done. That was the end of that message. So let me bring the fleet back now that that combat is done. Finished that right at the end of the last episode, and now the Nomatar system can be properly incorporated into our territory. We have a couple of different things we can do, though. Do we have two different? Oh, Awarth is already in my territory. So let's move to the Tunari Vortex, which is a black hole, by the way. Whoa, what are you doing? I said go here. Thank you. That will give us physics research. Once we've actually got a station around it, that is. Alright, so Euscoria has been brought into the fold. We need to build up some minerals, or potentially buy some minerals, in order to fully mine it. But again, our focus right now is on just incorporating as much of this territory as quickly as we can. Okay, a couple of things just happened. First of all, that blocker finished being cleared, and we are immediately at cap again on Ullyxr, so our capital world. So what we're going to do here, I'm a little bit low on energy, and I'm not loving that, so I'm just going to go straight for the solution to that. It looks like I don't quite have enough to do it, so I'll buy the lowest possible amount of minerals that I can buy. And now we get to choose a prosperity tradition. Remember that I decided, kind of was hemming and hawing back and forth about which of these particular traditions I wanted the Ullyxr to follow first. And I think that because they're off to such a good start, I took the risk of just doing something that would boost their economy sooner than later. So we can either reduce building upkeep and district upkeep immediately by 10%, Or we can reduce the cost of future buildings and districts by 10% and improve their building speed by 25%. I think I'd rather go ahead and get the upkeep reduction. It might result in, like, I don't know. Either of those are pretty good at this point in the game. Later in the game, there's more of a reason. Like, if you picked prosperity towards the end of the tree, you would almost certainly go for chitinous architecture every time because you've built almost everything already. And so a 10% decrease in the upkeep of all of your buildings and districts across all of your planets is going to be a big deal. All right, Leavenbank also has a shortage here. So I'm going to, on Leavenbank, I'm going to build a mining district. But it looks like I might not quite be able to yet. Nope, need to buy a little bit more. So I just used up all that energy that I just got from the pirate event. That's okay, though. That's why the events are useful. All right, let's see where all of my construction ships are. We have yet another colony being established. And there will be more. This is like an outright colonization blitz, frankly. Because if I can... Is this... Yeah, these are spaceborne aliens, not actual spacecraft that are in the Jana system. So I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to lock down a great deal of this territory. Also, it seems like we have a rogue star over here, so there might be a wormhole, would be my guess. And there could be a psionic entity in that particular system. Could be something else, but that would be my guess based on my knowledge of the game. The surface of this asteroid is littered with metallic debris. Most of it appears to originate from starships of many different designs. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at it. We're reaching the point where our scientists are able to take on these particular projects almost immediately, which also means I'll be able to send some of my science ships back to kind of make sure that I've researched the things inside my territory already. I skipped a number of anomalies right near the beginning. All right, so we finished our research on... Oh, good. So we got that Unity bonus finished. We have half of regenerative hull tissue research. Now, remember, this is what I mentioned. I don't know if this has actually popped up yet. It might have in the last episode, but this is a tech that we have made some progress on. And I remember mentioning this, that because we have some progress on it, or because, in this case, we were given a partial amount of progress on it, this will always be here even if we pick something else. So I'm going to let that sit for a second, because I think what I'd like to do first... Yeah, so here is, for example... a technology that will increase the Edicts Fund that I talked about, a moment ago. So that's tempting, but also the ability to clear blockers, especially glaciers, because glaciers are going to block us a lot on our existing planets, is something that's worth doing sooner than later. I'm going to go ahead and go for the adaptive bureaucracy first, though. All right, so Castor is able to build another district because they do have some overcrowding, but unfortunately I don't have quite what I need. I could sell some alloys, but I don't want to do that. I would rather have my alloys and my influence to grab new systems, which I'm going to do in just a moment. Our sensors have discovered that the ship remains on QT1 413 got there in a peculiar way. The ships seem to have been intentionally driven straight into the asteroid, probably from light years away, to test the accuracy of the designer's thrusters. As we deep scan the remains, we pick out one ship in particular which seems to have reasonably intact propulsion. So we can recover the thruster, or we can say we won't waste those alloys and get additional alloy production. Alloy production, since we're lithoids, is not really going to be an issue for us. I would rather have afterburners, like a little bit of progress toward a technology. So let's recover that. Oh, nice. That's not even... Fantastic. I misread that. That's not even a little bit of progress. That's the whole technology that it just gave us. So we now have afterburner tech. Nice. Can't complain about that. All right, so speaking of expanding, we've got more Alpine worlds here. This Arctic world here definitely needs to be incorporated. I would rather go ahead and... let's get that starbase built there. The embedded Stratum fleet has been fully repaired. Good. We have this first contact event pending. Make it so. That might have popped up while we were dealing with the aliens as well. Just been sitting on it. Oops. All right, so I could go into the system and build these one at a time. I'll point something out. For those of you who are newer to Stellaris, what I'm doing here is I've got a construction ship selected, And if I right-click on the system, it gives me the opportunity for a certain sum to build every mining station I possibly could here, because it's just mining stations that can be built in the system. And you think, okay, well, I don't have enough to do that. But you can go into the system, for example, to Euskwaria, dang, this system name, 4A. And as a result, I can now build that, and that's 6 of the 8 minerals per turn, and minerals are what I need to build those stations. So you can definitely go in and build individual stations when you find yourself in those kind of tricky spots. Okay, I'm just going to keep that construction chip there at the Tsunari Vortex.
Research complete.
Research station output has just been improved by 10%. So that's just the output of stations. And we also have the follow-up technology, the level 2, to that very same research. But I think what I would like to do first, I'm going to go ahead and go for global energy management, because this is one of those techs. I mean, technically they all are, but in my experience, this is one that sometimes can evade you for a lot of the early game. So the fact that I'm seeing it now, I just kind of feel like the game is screaming at me to go ahead and select that. So that's what I'm going to do. So it looks like our first fleet, the Embedded Stratum, is already at 1.2k fleet strength, which is pretty good for this soon in the game. It's because we got that additional frigate. What does it look like, by the way? Probably looks quite interesting. Yeah, you've got all these rock-based ships and then this guy right here. The LX Dark Wanderer. I love it. By the way, if it wasn't clear what system we started out looking at the very beginning of the episode, it was Weiston, our newest colony. It's the only continental world that we've inhabited so far. So the habitability of this planet is somewhat lower, it's 75%. So what that means is that we will, you can see the penalties here. So amenities are consumed more rapidly by the population. The upkeep of the population in general is increased, whatever demands that individual pops have when they're at that habitability level on this planet. There's a 25% penalty, and then resources from jobs are actually reduced by 12%. So increasing habitability through technology or other means is generally a good thing. There are a couple of bonuses on this planet, though. Titanic life, so society research from jobs is increased, and also high-quality minerals. So minerals from this planet, this is a mining planet for sure. Minerals from jobs here will be increased by 15%, and we have additional room to build mining districts.
Construction complete. Anomaly found.
Nice, an easy anomaly. A colossal impact crater hints that something big collided with the surface of this moon once. This is Bidtox 3. I think as soon as I have this completely kind of cordoned off, I might bring one of my science ships back to start going through some of the anomalies, because you can see several within my territory. All right, research complete. What did we get? What was the technology we just finished? Mining station output plus 10%. Nice. I like all of these. This is tough. I think I'm going to go for standardized Corvette patterns. Excuse me. That should be good. FTL impact. A massive crater on Bidtox 5A appears to be the result of a collision with a starship. From the size of the crater, we suspect that a ship exiting a hyperlane at maximum velocity rammed the moon for reasons unknown roughly 10,000 years ago. The LX Bang purpose has picked up residual subspace echoes near the crash site reminiscent of a collapsed hyperparticulate field. But as the ship itself disintegrated on impact, the theory cannot be verified. So we gained some physics research for that. That'll basically go into a bank that allows us for a period of time to more steadily produce physics research. Efforts to map the surface of this planet have identified a strange mountain range in the southern hemisphere. This is still on Bidtox. We're just discovering anomalies left and right in this system the same way we did in Jared. It does not appear to have formed naturally. Let's research that then. All right, so we should be able to add an additional system or two. Let's go ahead and get the Tsunari Vortex. All right, that's all we can do for now. Although, I can go ahead and add some additional stations here. So let's build that mining station and that mining station. And then I do want to go ahead and add the energy as well. That's the actual star. That consumed most of my minerals, but I'm all right with that. All right, so here's another world that we can colonize, and I don't think I'll have enough to colonize it just yet, but let me see if there's anything I can do to change that. I could definitely sell like half of my mineral stack. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Now we bought, sorry, half of my alloy stack and buy minerals with it. So this would be Tark State. That's Stain, S-T-A-N-E, not Stain, S-T-A-I-N. Don't count your planets. Our science drones have discovered something rather monstrous. See, that right there, that wording, just, that feels like the game telling me, remember how you were so excited about all these planets you were getting, Hadrian? Yeah, just wait 10, 20 years. We'll screw you over. Our science drones have discovered something rather monstrous. The mountain range they scanned earlier was in actuality the outer membrane of a gigantic egg. It's uncertain what behemoth could lay such an egg and what horror would hatch from it. So we can study from afar, or we can crack it open. Let's crack it open. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, we have an additional tradition we can unlock. So we can go for neural signal boosters and complex drones. Remember, that's a type of job, a class of job on our planets. We'll increase that output by 5%, or we can have the upkeep from all jobs reduced by 5%, or we can have that second bonus that I mentioned a moment ago when we were choosing chitinous architecture. I'm going to go for the upkeep reduction in jobs. We're getting
Construction complete.
We're getting these traditions at a fairly rapid clip. This is good. The spaceborne lifeforms, which we call Tiyanki, are docile creatures, capable of accessing some lower dimensions of subspace. They roam from system to system with remarkable ease. They graze on gases common to the upper layers of many gas giants. It is highly unlikely, to say the least, that this is their only food source, but intake of other nutrients has yet to be observed. They will not attack unless provoked. They can safely be ignored. Hunting them would be a net loss anyway.
Communications established with potentially softer life forms.
Potentially softer. Okay, let's go ahead and build a mining station here, and there, and there. All right, I'm going to pause for just a moment and take a look at some of the things that we have obtained. I might be able to buy some additional minerals here. Let's see if I can get away with that. Yep. All right, so I believe spawning pools. Okay, so I'm still down 30. Really? Okay, I'll give that a few months. I get what we need. The geoscape of Talon 7 is dominated by what appear from orbit to be silvery metallic crystals of dimensions never before seen. From orbit, they eerily resemble skyscrapers. Closer study is warranted. So one of my science ships, it looks like we've kind of located a good cutoff point here. So I want to try and explore like down this chain of stars and see what happens. All right, as I was saying, all right, I can't quite buy anything right now unless I were to sell a few alloys more. I know I said I wouldn't, but I want these colonies to grow as rapidly as they can. We're going to take advantage of the fact that we've been able to settle so many worlds this quickly. We are almost at the cap for empire size. It's not a hard cap, it's a soft cap. Once we pass it, we'll start to be penalized. But that's okay. Nanite crystal lattices. Detailed analysis of the enormous metallic crystals dominating Talon 7's landscape have defied all expectations. Science officer Rukan Stelliold is excited to reveal that these oversized crystals are in fact composed of trillions upon trillions of deactivated nanites. Their molecular structure matches no known empire's nanotechnology signatures, making their point of origin indeterminable. They may have been deposited on the planet by some unknown spacefarers for an unknown purpose. As far as Rukan Stelliold can tell, the nanites compiled themselves into perfectly oriented crystalline lattices and replicated until a point at which they became deactivated. While the crystals they created do in fact resemble buildings, they are entirely uniform in composition and cannot possibly have served any such purpose. So we get 200 nanites, which we can use in certain situations. That's quite handy. And we gain over 1,000 engineering research to go towards our pool. Nice. All right. I would like to build a research station there, but I can't just yet. We do have spawning pools starting on Grimvoss, so that will help our population grow faster.
Construction complete.
Okay, let's see if we can go ahead and add, Ureb Dar to our territory. We've got a couple of worlds. That's a desert world there, so it's not going to be as high habitability, but I still would like to lock down as much of these neighboring clusters as I can. Also, it says there are hunter amoebas there in that system, and I'm not sure how I missed that. Unless that could be a sensor echo. They might not be present anymore. So we'll have to go take a look at that.
Spaceborne life form encountered.
Okay, yeah, those are Tianki space whale. So that's the peaceful space creature that we encountered not long ago and completed first contact with. So why don't I send the fleet down to see if this is a sensor echo or not. Let's go to Stimpsys. I'm pretty sure it's an echo. I think those amoebas were jumping around, and that's what we're seeing. So there's a little bit of a production slowdown at the moment, or my ability to just build things to compensate for these prompts, simply because we're off to a good start. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that we have enough income from the basic funds, so basic resources such as energy, minerals. Food, not going to be as important, but it might even be something we convert into minerals if we get to that point. But I'm just adding as many stations as I can as I expand, and then we'll use research to bolster the gains that we achieve. So all right, I'm going to go for the fusion reactor here, just to have the basic reactor for my ships in case I hit a situation in the coming years, and by years I mean game years, where we run into an alien species that we have to rapidly kind of prepare to fight. And I hope that's not the case. Hopefully we can be a little bit more peaceful, but I'm still going to be somewhat cautious. All right, so let's build a mining station first here. Notice the energy production problem is more or less resolved. Oh, good. Destroyer research. That seems like it's soon, but I'll take it. Yeah, let's go ahead and research the destroyer. I feel like that's an opportunity that the game is just handing me that I shouldn't pass up. Let's buy a few minerals there just to get that built. And then I'm going to get a starbase built in Sewell. I believe, yep, we've got a colony ship on the way to that planet, but not one on the way to this one. Planet has an anomaly. Really? Oh, yeah, we've got to research that first. All right, tell you what. They're cracking the egg. This could be really interesting in the next couple of seconds, but once they're done exploring this cluster, I'm going to send them back to take care of that anomaly. There's a lot going on our planets. There's a lot of overcrowding, so I want to make sure I deal with that.
Anomaly found.
Entire continents on Alcade 3 are blanketed in a strange growth that seems at odds with the rest of the planet's flora. Research, please. Figure out what's going on.
Construction complete. Special project complete.
Galactic Omelet. Wow, the insides of Bitox 3 were not what we expected. Instead of some infant titanic life form, we've simply uncovered genetic slop. The entire planet is filled with genetic material and resources. What all this material would have become is unclear, but our galaxy is probably safer not knowing. So that is a huge society research modifier being added to Bitox 3, and a nice little lump sum of society research as well. Galactic Omelet. I know what I'm naming this episode. Holy crap. Okay. All right, so we've already got that queued up. I'm going to go ahead and send this construction ship to Alcade.
Rocket new tech.
Nice. So the Edicts Fund research is done. What else can we do? Pop growth speed plus 10%? Yes, please. That's only 18 months away, too. So it feels like a pretty solid start in terms of just the things that are happening. It's very rapid. We have cleared out the immediate hostile aliens in our vicinity, and they weren't too strong. And we have a number of planets, more than I've ever seen, to be completely honest, in close proximity that match our habitability type. So lots to do in the coming episodes. After intense study and sampling of the ground blanketing entire biospheres on Alcade 3, Rhinid Lapidin reports that the substance is not native to the planet, but rather an invasive fungal life form of unknown origin. The fungus feeds on biomatter, choking out existing plant life and enveloping terrain. Any future settlers on the planet would have to deal with routinely burning back the exofungus. It is unknown at this point if it can be entirely eradicated. So, Alcade 3, this is the 18-slot Alpine world that I was excited about. Let's go ahead and continue our research there.
Accretion complete.
Okay, so my only opportunity to build more right now is to sell down, since I have a surplus, is to sell down my alloys and buy additional minerals. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to build a sensorium suite. And then here, it may be worthwhile. Yeah, let's go ahead and build another industrial district, and that's going to be the only thing I can build. Is there a planet that needs stuff more? Yes, this planet needs stuff more. All right, so I'm going to build a construct district. The reason I was looking, or the way I was seeing that, is the amount of housing that I'm in the negative. All of the other planets are at -3, but Castor, or at -1, but Castor's at -3. So by building a hive district, that's going to give us 6 additional housing. So it's going to solve the problem and then some. But it will also give us additional jobs production. Specifically for, hang on, menial drones, which produce amenities. So that'll make sure that stability on this planet stays high, because right now it's kind of middling. So those icons matter when you were looking at, for example,
Anomaly found.
this is the kind of district that I'm building. It says approximate jobs production, and it gives you that icon plus 12. That's a specific type of job. You have to match the icon to the type of job in order to understand the exact nature of the bonus you're getting. They cram a lot of information into these tooltips, and it can be a lot to process when you're first learning the game. Despite the toxic content and high pressure on this planet's atmosphere, strong life signs have been detected coming from its surface. Okay. Let's research it, find out more. So we're still figuring out what's going on in the Bidtalk system. We have a number of systems near us that are just like replete with planets and moons and various sources of just anomalies to be investigated. Okay. That's a desert world. I am going to go ahead and grab that one. And the reason is, this is a midpoint between this cluster and another cluster. So if I lock down that system while I can, I'll be able to get this later. I'm not in a rush to lock all of that down because no one else has access to it. Mushroom picking. A routine ecological study of our colony on Grimvoss has stumbled upon a strange fungal life form. The science team reports that the surface of the mycelium is shimmering and colorful, but what was most intriguing to them was the fact that separate clusters were seemingly communicating with one another whenever something occurred within a wide radius. Furthermore, the biology of the organism appears to be clearly alien to the ecosystem of the colony. Puzzled, the local science team has requested specialized support, as we might be dealing with a sentient species. So let's take a closer look, and this probably gives us... Oh, I still haven't investigated the mysterious moon of Castor. What are we looking at right now? Yeah, let's go ahead and queue that up. Now there is a... I didn't realize there was debris in Nomatar. That's been sitting there for a bit. It might not be there for much longer. Hang on. Yeah, it's going to be gone in 60 days, so never mind. Was that from the... I guess that was from the fight with the space amoeba, so we might have gotten, you know, some additional... We might have gotten some of the flagellating... I can't remember the name of the technology, but it gives us additional evasion. But that's not too big of a loss there. I literally did not know that was there just because it was something that happened in between episode cuts. But anyway, speaking of episode cuts, we're at 29 minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and stop with this episode. In the next one, we are going to continue expanding, locking down territory. I'm a little bit anxious because we still have not encountered like any alien life forms to speak of apart from the spaceborne aliens. So haven't seen any other science ships. I'm not complaining because it's giving us time to lock down territory, and I feel like I have achieved my objective of locking down some clusters on either side of our home system so that I feel a little bit safer. But now it's just like, okay, where are the aliens? We're 4 episodes in. They've got to be somewhere. So I would say that time is running out for us to just enjoy this quiet corner of the galaxy on our lonesome, and we'll probably run into some alien friends in the next episode or two. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. If it's not your first time or even your second, look for the join button to access unique emotes, badges, and other perks. New episodes are coming out every day at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.